Reddit by Reddit recap. Girls, what romantic gift by your significant other was really awesome? I have a few. Close bracket. We started out long distance and were both busy with work. So for Valentine's Day one year I asked for just a day with him. He booked us a day in a spa. No phones. No books. Just us. He secretly started learning sign language for me. He also got me a personalized Alice in Wonderland book where all the names were changed to my family. He got me a heart-shaped keyring with an inscription on it. And for Christmas last year he took me on a surprise trip to Venice for a weekend and proposed on a gondola with a message in a bottle and in sign language. Well, I am a man, but I got my girl a gift of the skulls of my enemies. I think she enjoyed them. She may have just been pretending for my benefit, but when we drank wine out of them on ceremonial occasions later she seemed to genuinely be filled with bloodlust and psychopathic anger. Books. My boyfriend and I are both sci-fi nerds. He has dyslexia and does not read well. I have over 300 books and love to read. So he gets me sci-fi books and we snuggle as I read them to him. It's super nerdy, but it fits us. The best gifts are tailored to activities both of you enjoy. They bring you closer to each other and can be enjoyed over and over again. I used to be obsessed with Dexter. Let's pretend those last few seasons didn't happen. My then so made me a blood slide box like the one Dexter kept for all his victims. He put a bunch of slides in with room for more if I wanted to add some later. And on the slides were pictures of our shenanigans. It was incredibly sweet. And I was so impressed when he gave it to me. Kind of morbid. But it really showed how much effort and thought he put into making me happy. Listen to her. If she says she likes Harry Potter, get her something Harry Potter related. If she's having a bad day, buy her chocolate or flowers. If she really loves you, she won't expect you to empty your pockets for her. It's the small, random gestures that mean the most. If you see something that reminds you of her, buy it. Made me a keychain with the exact coordinates of where he proposed to me. It is stamped metal. And even though it's a bit rough and slightly unfinished looking, it is one of my most charming treasured possessions. Edit. Thanks for the gold. I've never gotten it before. And it is pretty neat. Thanks again. Gifts out of the blue are the best. Simple things like buying her favorite chocolates, cleaning up, cooking her favorite food, or foot massages. A gift that stands out for me was small amber with insects in them and a handmade card. Shows he knows me, gets me, and loves me. It all depends on the girl. When I was graduating college and moving into a new apartment, my so was trying to figure out what to get me. Had an idea and told his family. They made fun of him so much that he wasn't going to get it. Then he told me about being stressed about it, so I made him tell me what he was originally thinking. When he told me he wanted to get me a vacuum, I was so excited by the idea. I'm a practical girl and I really needed one, and he knew that. It was thoughtful and sweet. BTW. We're married now, and if he tried that gift again it wouldn't go over well, but at the time, it was the best thing ever. Okay. So a common misconception is that a woman only wants diamonds and stuff like that. My husband, who was never really good at showing emotions, got me a mug for my birthday. Yeah. You read right. A F-King mug. At first glance I thought it was a present of our 8-year-old. But the package said it was from my husband. So maybe he was trying to tell me how broke we are again. That would have been sad and hilarious at the same time. But then I turned it around and saw the cutest thing written on it. I knew he would get lucky that night. It read, "You are the best sister ever." One year we couldn't spend my birthday together. So he sent me a care package. Inside was an instruction booklet titled Romantic Birthday Dinner, and beneath it were all the ingredients so I could cook it myself. Ingredients: bread, jelly, peanut butter. The killer for me was the instruction manual. It was overly detailed and technical. He used the word emulsification like twice, with step-by-step picture guides. I was laughing so hard I was in tears. He literally bought me a PBJ for my birthday and it's the best gift I've ever gotten. My long distance ex mentioned once that her favorite brand of shampoo was no longer being sold. So I found some bottles online and sent them to her house with a pretty note. She said it was the most thoughtful thing she's ever gotten. FCK. I'm a good boyfriend. It's silly really. But we always set a limit for Christmas what we can spend on each other and he always goes way over. I get fake mad at him every time. Edit. Thank you for the gold kind stranger. For my birthday, my boyfriend got each of my friends to record a video birthday message using their webcams and edited all of them together into a compilation. This even included our friends who moved away to live in far-flung places around the world. So it way really amazing. He ended with a video clip of his own birthday wishes. We're in a long distance relationship. As soon as I realized what it was, I cried. It cost him nothing. But it is by far my most treasured gift. Not really a gift. But my so surprised me with a picnic when I thought he was working. He came to my doorstep with all my favorite foods and took me out for a picnic with him. That was by far my favorite. I was blabbering like a baby, I was so surprised. He always does thoughtful things like that. Not a girl. But I pride myself on doing my best at giving presents. At this point it might sound cliche. But something that holds sentimental value is going to win over something really expensive but meaningless every time. For example. And I had a small inside joke. That space was our thing. So for Valentine's Day I got her a necklace with a small piece of meteorite on it and in the box there was a handwritten note with facts about space on one side, with silly little drawings and songs that made me think of her on the other. She says to this day it's the most thoughtful present she's gotten. Which is always nice to hear. Good luck dude. I used to battle with depression a lot. One Christmas I got a jar filled with little notes from my boyfriend at the time. All notes said things like "You're beautiful. I'm so glad I met you. You're my everything" and things like that. It was one of the sweetest things I've ever gotten. Edit. Oh wow. My highest ranked comment is just me riding on something my ex did. Edit 2. Realized I worded it wrong. Should be boyfriend at the time. Not current boyfriend. I meant current then. He downloaded Pokemon Red. Edited a bunch of the root files so a lot of the characters' gym leaders are actually people in my life. He also changed a lot of the dialogue. It was easily the most memorable and thoughtful gift. So awesome. The first time my now BF and I had sex he literally ripped my jeans off me. He broke the zipper. He kept the jeans and covered a diary for me to use the next year in denim. It was very thoughtful and every time I took out my diary the next year to make a note I thought of him. My husband and I were at a friend's destination wedding in the mountains a few years ago. And we got into an argument after the rehearsal dinner. Seeing as I was the maid of honor with a wedding to control the next day. And it was like 1 AM. I left him outside to smoke a cigar and went to bed. Next thing I know at 3 AM and he's in my ear telling me to look up. I roll over. The room is pitch black save for the dozens of fireflies. He knew I'd never seen them before. So he spent 2 hours in the dark catching them by hand. Then released them in our room at the cabin. Next to our wedding. That was the best night of my life. He bought a plain white mug. Then painted it with me. He even painted his bottom lip red and pressed it onto the cup so that whenever I have a sip of coffee, it's like I'm giving him kisses. Edit. He washed the paint off right away guys. He's fine but as others have said, be careful of which paints you're putting in your mouth. Capital P. The most thoughtful gift I got my ex I never got to truly give her sadly. Her 21st gift was 2 tickets to Cirque du Soleil for us. To go along with it I had planned to book a hotel and a table at a super fancy restaurant. The reason it was special is I'm at uni and can barely afford food every week. I saved up nearly $600 to give her the night of her life. Too bad 6 days after telling her the plan she broke my heart and dumped me. I'm still can't fathom the loss of her, as I had also planned to ask her to stay with me forever that night too. God, I wish I could have given her that night. I put so much effort into getting her something so special, and now I just sit at home crying every night. My boyfriend has cerebral palsy and it affects the dexterity of his hands. Recently I visited him in Glasgow twice over the summer, and one day he picked a small bushel of lavender while we were walking in the park. I wore it in my hair the rest of the day while we had a picnic. And later in passing I mentioned that we should save it. A week or so later, I had already flown back home. And when he called me he was like, how the heck do I save this before it dies? And I said, press it. Another week later I received a care package in the mail with the framed stick of lavender pressed in it. It was beautiful, and he told me that he framed it by himself with no help, which made it even more special. It's been sitting on top of my desk ever since. When I was 17, my 19-year-old boyfriend made me a teddy bear. It was the ugliest damn teddy in the world, but the fact that this tough silent guy made it was amazing. Question number 2. What cheap gift from your so was really awesome? A crate of one of my favorite beers, which I told him had been discontinued. He was very proud of himself for finding it, and I had to explain that it had only been discontinued on tap. But I was still very happy with 24 bottles of it. Close bracket. My boyfriend kept all of our tickets and maps and receipts from our Euro trip and made me a scrapbook with our pictures and all of the things we had collected along the way. I cried. Twice. I've posted this before, but when my ex-boyfriend gave me an old dictionary as an anniversary present, I was a little confused. Little did I know, he'd highlighted every single word in the dictionary that reminded him of me. It's seriously the little thoughtful things that make someone feel loved. We may have broken up, but it still makes me smile to this day. We're in high school, so he didn't have much money. He commissioned an artsy classmate to illustrate a comic. I'm sure he didn't pay her much, but she was happy to make some cash doing something she liked to do. And they sat down together and came up with a great story. It was an adventure tale about my beloved cat and I. I loved it, and years later, I still have it and think fondly of him for thinking of such a creative gift. My first comment, and I get to brag about my so. It's the little things, not necessarily always the gift itself, that has the biggest impact. Once, for no special occasion, he made 24 origami flowers that he put chocolate candies inside the flowers. Who doesn't love flowers and chocolate? But it was the fact he took the time to go buy the materials, then sit there and craft 24 paper flowers. For my birthday one year he bought a machine to inflate balloons, then proceeded to fill our bedroom with over 1,000 balloons. Seriously floor to damn near ceiling with balloons. Then hid my presents in the chaos, and when I got home from work I was overwhelmed at the time he spent doing that. Cats did not appreciate it so much, and we slept on the couch for a month until we decided to finally have a balloon genocide and reclaim our bedroom. But it is definitely a memory I will never forget and always makes me smile thinking about it. I'll try to find a photo to show you all the absurdity of the situation. Close bracket. http imgur.com/cuuhmb jpg edit added photo. Sorry, I posted it to various comments before figuring out how to attach it to my own comment. Stroke. She kept a list of things on her phone that are the little things I had mentioned throughout our relationship. One of my favorites was the fresh cut grass scented candle. Alright OP, how bad did you FCK up and what is your gift price range? My ex paid for my best friend, who I never see and speak to daily, to fly from France to Montreal and surprise me for my birthday 2 years ago. I expected to spend a night in with her, some sushi, and some sexy time. Oh boy. Sushi delivery man arrives. I open the door, and it's my best friend standing with his back to me, his girlfriend's hand in one hand, and a huge box of sushi in the other. I was dumbstruck for a solid 10 seconds. My ex was squealing with glee next to me. I don't think I ever loved her more during our relationship than at the precise moment I realized what she had done for me. I knew my best friend was broke. So I knew she'd bought him the ticket. That shit's expensive. Like around $700. And we were just two young graduates starting out with not much in the way of salaries. She's an exceptional lady. Edit. Added the price of a Paris-Montreal ticket for clarity. Maybe not romantic but incredibly thoughtful. For Christmas, my son gave his girlfriend, now fiancée, a reserved parking space in the city. He leases the space in the alley of a homeowner. She works crazy hours as a med student on rotations and would come home late at night exhausted. Then have to drive for 30 minutes to find parking. Now she is grateful to him every day when she parks her car and has a safe, short walk to her apartment. I knit my girlfriend a scarf and let's just say the gift went over really well. It was super easy and relatively cheap. I had no prior knowledge of knitting crafts in general. I just YouTubed tutorials. So, I'm from the street, Louis area, and we don't have the Rainforest Cafe there. It was always someplace I dreamed of going as a kid. But my parents were always like, we're not paying to eat overpriced chicken nuggets in the dark with animatronic animals. Whatever. Fast forward to when I'm an adult and dating this guy for 2+ years. We're in Chicago for my birthday and he surprises me by taking me to the Rainforest Cafe to fulfill my childhood dream. When we sit down, he pulls out 2 safari hats, puts one on his head and hands the other to me. Then he pulls out a stuffed elephant shrew, which is one of my favorite animals. I'm holding the elephant shrew, still in shock, and my stoic, no nonsense engineer boyfriend is sitting nonchalantly across from me wearing a safari hat. No idea where he found a stuffed elephant shrew. The whole thing was such a sweet, goofy gesture. Especially for him. I teared up. For our 10-year wedding anniversary, my husband is giving me a cute little wedding vow ceremony. I never got the wedding that I wanted. A cute little forest ceremony. I really wanted to have something small and then we were thinking of eloping. But my mom refused and made us have our reception in the place my parents got married. It was nice. But really saying the vows was my favorite part. It was the only part I dreamed of. I wanted to stand in a sacred space and promise my love to him. It was and still is everything to me. The party afterward was just a party. So it didn't really matter. I let my mom plan it because I really wasn't into it. So for our 10-year anniversary is coming up in April. He knows I want a vacation to Denver. He knows I always wanted to go to a horse ranch place. So he's looking into seeing if we can renew our vows and get pretty photos taken. Did I mention my wedding and engagement photos sucked and it's something I have always regretted. It hurts not having a nice photo with your spouse to look at. It would be amazing to have the little elopement wedding of my dreams. It makes it even more special for this to happen now. 10 years later. When I love him even more than the day we first said our vows. TLDR. My husband is the best man in the world and is making our 10-year anniversary very special on an upcoming Denver vacation. Voted because I am a terrible boyfriend and I need ideas. He wrote a romantic story which he set out in PowerPoint form with photos of us included along the way to fit in with the story. I'm a dude. But I have to share this. I'm a huge dinosaur fan. The kind that can quote practically all of Jurassic Park. The raptors are my favorite carnivore. For my birthday last year, my girlfriend took me to the Museum of Natural History in DC to see the dinosaurs. I'd never been there before. So I was already grinning from ear to ear. She stops, takes me aside, and gives me a present to open. I open it up, and it's a fossil. She tells me it's a tooth from the Dromaeosauridae family. She stumbled through the name, and that they couldn't identify which species because it was missing the root. So she got it cheaply. I cried. Literally. The best present I have ever gotten ever. I have to keep her forever now. Best comment of the day. My boyfriend and I bonded over our collective love of Jordan Peterson. He introduced me, and with JP's help I got through a really rough point in my life. The books were out of my league financially, so I had to make do with PDFs, but my boyfriend knew I wanted the books badly. On our first grocery trip to Walmart together, I went to go and check out the book section, because I also collect poetry and it's usually pretty cheap and Walmart has a lot of fresh poetry. I ended up seeing JP's book and I kinda just gaped, because I hadn't seen 12 Rules for Life in Walmart before. And there it was, with the person who showed it to me in the first place. I kinda side-eyed it as my boyfriend came over, and without even thinking about it, he reached on the shelf. He's also taller than I'm, haha, and plucked the book off the shelf, and was like, "You wanted this." He had his own copy, and I had thumbed it at home, but he knew how much I wanted my own copy. It meant so much to me to read it aloud to him later. Love this man. Love this fucking man.